we got to talk about this book right here. Look what this was made. This was printed the day he died. The day he died. Now, that's not when the book was released or whatever, but it feels like this is damage control. This is narrative control. If I knew not a single thing about Charlie Kirk and then read this book because I was just curious and it was on sale on Amazon, I get a very false picture of him and his organization. It feels like a liberal activist, a leftist, and a rhino Republican got 10 facts together that were positive about Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, and then put it into ChatGPT and said, spit out 80 pages about these 5 points. And then after, or all throughout, we're going to thoroughly explain the position of the critics of Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA using only CNN sources as the material. So it's all shitting on Trump the entire way through and talking about his divisive rhetoric and how he dismissed these groups, and it's all from the critics say. And it's like, no, it just seems like the author. It's like, imagine the person who hates you the most writes your eulogy. That's what I'm getting here. And the worst part, because it didn't really make any sense, I'm like, why is there so little substance in here? Why are they not talking about at all that he's a Christian? There's one sentence that hinted that he was a Christian, but it didn't even really confirm it. It just said that he said the teachings of Christianity were good for society. That's not saying that he is a Christian. There's plenty of atheists that say that. There's plenty of Jews that say that. There's plenty of people who are not religious that say that the teachings of Jesus are good for society. So they wouldn't even go there with him, saying that he was a very strong Christian. The other thing, they never mentioned Israel. They talk about his critics over and over and over again. Bro, the guy was like the staunchest, fiercest pro-Israel voice in American politics, to the point that a lot of people, even on the right, would criticize him. They're like, bro, okay, at some point, you got to stop shilling. Like, there's some questions to be asked. There's some things we don't agree with. And you know what? Towards the end, he did start to ask those questions. He did start to maybe waver in his support a bit. So it's a little bit weird that this book is written, and you have all of this thorough explanation of his critics, but you never go there. And then there's a lot of stuff that's in here that's just not true. It points to him and his organization kind of spewing a ton of hate and vitriol and falsehoods, which could lead to a pushback kind of in the way that happened, because you got to stop someone from lying somehow, right? So I don't like it. I don't like this. I feel like this is damage control. And the worst part is it's not even about him, really. It's an inspiring journey of a young political conservative and activist who fights for America, Charlie Kirk's biography. But it's like 100 pages and 80 pages are about Turning Point USA and the thoroughly explained position of the critics based on MSM sources. So you're talking about misinformation and things that are debunked and conspiracy theory that isn't conspiracy theory. So yeah, I'm tripping balls. I'm annoyed. And yeah, I think this is totally narrative control and damage control from the left, knowing that a lot of people are about to ask questions and try to talk about this guy. So sorry, I got my chickens out here. It's Sunday. I got back from church, so I'm not in studio right now. But I just read this book real quick and was just like too full of rage to not come out and say something.